the Most High God, in memory of our Rasul, I speak. This lesson that I chose to bring today is a lesson geared around our young brothers and sisters who are trying to straddle the fence as far as what should I do? Which way should I go? The lesson is entitled The Black Christian. The Black Christian. What is the black Christian? We look at it as though Christians are Christians, all of them. But we are speaking about this black Christian. How can a person become a black Christian? Maybe this lesson will throw some light on that subject. Bisim Leuli Mihiru Amen Roh, in the name of the Most High God, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the black Christian. Before a black man can set up a black Christian society, he will have to go back and revamp his pre-slavery status. Before a black man can set up a black Christian society, he will have to go back and revamp his pre-slavery status. Where will he begin? He will have to go back to the creed of Raha, which was in existence over 8,000 years before Jesus, called Yusuf, Moses, and Enoch, peace be upon them, and revamp the culture of Isis, El, and Amen, Ra, and Ka. Your God is Amen, and he rules only over those who have accepted his truth and guides them by his truth. Going back over 8,000 years means we will have to go back 10,000 years BJ, called BC, back to Akhenaten, Nefertiti, Tutankhamun, who were the teachers of monotheism, or the one God. And that would be the beginning of a black Christian's rise to power by basing his society on the creed of Raha and Ka, which would put them in tune with the spiritual power from those ancestors who were his beginning. Now let us take notice of our ancestors' attributes to world civilization. Isis, El, and Amen formed a society, and they had no secrets, because the society of a people is the unity of their race, which is black power, or their way of life. After they formulated this society, they named it the Society of Peace, because it was established without the shedding of blood. Therefore, it became Islam. After they had established the society, it became Islam. There, Amen Pita started the baptism or ablution in the Nile or Nile River 3,000 years before John was born. And that is why it is an old African Hamite custom. If there is such as a black Christian, Amen Pita was the world's first black white man. In 8 to 10,000 years of history concerning the black man, in society. All of the society emblems was invented by him. These you can see everywhere. The cross on the churches of all descriptions, the dove, the eagle in many uses socially and politically, the square used in bricklaying, the circle in various displays and other ways, the compass used by all airlines, ships, and ground traveling, the Virgin, you see her every Christian festival day, Xmas, Easter, and etc. All of these are emblems of the soul's actions and were in use 10,000 years before the Christian era. Keep in mind, we are still talking about the black Christian. In the 12th century, Isis, El, and Amun, and Horus were announced to the Christian nations as Mary, Joseph, and Yusuf, called Jesus. And Ka, Ra, and Isis became the Christians' Christ from copying the cultural teachings of Ra, of the Holy Land of Ham, and retaught back to their followers under false names, and they think it is their very own. All the nations of the earth, A-L-L, all the nations of the earth were colonies of the ancient Hamites called Egyptians. They were sent out around the torrid zone that belts the earth. In their colleges and universities was where these colonized groups were taught to speak a different tongue. Let's envision that thought. Let's envision the thought of the colonies that were being sent out. These colonies that were being sent out became the European nations that we talked about today. And one of us brought that, one of them or some of them back. Bhutan, one of our ancient ancestors, brought some of them back from the Caucasus Mountains and placed them in the garden, in our garden, to do what? To pick up the fruit, to keep the garden clean. Bhutan brought him back, but the person that he brought back had hair all over him. He looked like an animal. So he decided they look somewhat human. Let's shave them and see exactly what's under all of that hair, or what we call fur. Let's shave them. When they shaved them, they found out what they had brought back. And keep in mind now, think about it. What they brought back was exactly what you see today. This pink-colored man with his pink color, when they shaved him, this is what they came up with, that pink color. That same pink color was the one, keep in mind now, the same one that you brought back. The same one that you brought back, and you put it into your garden. What is he doing now? He is running the world. The script has been flipped. Masters. You were masters who are now servants. Calling yourself a black Christian. In 8,000 to 10,000 years of history concerning the black man in society, all of the society emblems were invented by him. These you can see everywhere. The cross on the churches of all descriptions, the dove, the eagle in many uses, socially and politically, the square used in bricklaying, the circle in various displays and other ways, the compass used by all airlines, ships, and ground traffic, the Virgin you see, heard every Christian festival, Xmas, Easter, and etc. All these emblems you see around you right now. All these emblems. People speak about people worshiping emblems, but we are all emblem worshipers. Everything that you see has an emblem. But we made a difference with that emblem. We say every emblem has another meaning other than the one that you maybe have accepted. All of these emblems that you see, all of these emblems are of the soul's actions and were in use 10,000 years before the Christian era. In the 12th century, Isis, Amun, and Horus were announced to the Christian nations as Mary, Joseph, and Jesus. All of the nations of the earth were colonies of the ancient Hamites, called Egyptians. They were sent out around the torrid zone that belched the earth. In their colleges and universities, was where these colonized groups were taught to speak a different tongue. In your college and in your university, you taught them everything that they know. The same people who are oppressing you today. You taught them everything that they know. In their colleges and universities was where these colonized groups were taught to speak a different tongue. These ancient ancestors of yours were masters of astroscience. These colonies, which were sent out around the torrid zone, were placed at a different distance apart under a certain type of element in this geographical location where they would have their own archangel and planet in harmony with their spiritual beings and the element. We do not dismiss them from being our people. We do not say that because you go someplace else or you were sent someplace else that you are someone other than you are. And you are from me. Climate is responsible for color and hair. Climate is responsible for color and hair. The archangel of the elements of that section of the earth is the cause of their way of thinking and acting. The law of nature governs the natural actions of the entire human race. The foundation of the Christian society of government is based upon the creed of Ra or Amun, the God of truth. Now the Romans and Greeks copied the doctrines of Amun and Ra and renamed that teaching the gospel of Jesus, who was called Christ, another way of saying God in a Greek language. When you are a Hamite, when you understand what a Hamite is, why would you want to be a Greek? These ancestors of the black men came out of what is now called Ethiopia, which was then the land of Kim, which after these three saints, Isis, Amun, and Horus, advanced and crossed the Nile River and set up their own doctrines. the land became the land of Cam. We're talking about history now. We're talking about the changing of the name of the history of the country that we come from. Chem means upright or mighty, while Cam, called Ham by the Jews, means the praised one. They were mighty Chem, or Kemites, because of their ability to build a mighty race and nation. They were praised Ham, or Hamite, because they were the first to bring about a civilization of their own, peculiar to themselves. Society simply means to change crowds and their way of life. These Hamites changed from paganism to the doctrines of Isis, El, and Amun. The history of your people. Telling you about that black Christian. In essence, the lesson will tell you where they came from, hopefully. And Amun, as before, started calling the doctrines Islam, the society of peace. Then Amun Pita introduced to them baptism or ablution. Then came Akhenaten, removing the many gods and replacing them by teaching the doctrines of Amun, the doctrines of Isis, and the doctrines of El, which brought about a trine or triangle symbol of society. Now, Isis, Amun, and Horus came to what is known as the Valley of the Gods. They began to rise to a higher degree of understanding from a spiritual point of view. The lesson did not say it, but I will say it. I will add this to the lesson. The lesson, or the word Christian, does not mean good people. But the word Christian itself means white folks. So how can a black Christian become a Christian and he is not white folks? Only if he is a black white man or white black man. That's a play of words. We'll have to get into that subject at another time. The circle served the purpose of showing these gods were perfect of soul and were perfect in all their actions, all civic, all society, all governments, and etc. around the torrid zone that belts the earth. Ham was the truth of them all. We have a God, we have a doctrine. We do not have to call ourselves black Christians. Black Christians are a confused people. Very confused. There are people who are straddling the fence, who have no idea who they are. And the very thing that they are praying and weeping and crying for is the very thing that is oppressing them. They need a God of their own. They need some of the mystical characters. What is a mystical character? Having a spiritual meaning, reality, or the like, neither apparent to the senses or obvious to the intellectual. Intelligence, symbolic. Isis, El, and Amun, the veiled ones. Isis, Allah, and Amun. Isis, goddess of fertility. Fertility, universal and truth. Isis, Allah, and Amun. Fertility, universal, and truth. That's what that means. Ism, I-S-M, is action, practice, theory, and system. Ism is action, practice, as in baptism, criticism. Ism is one's doctrine and practice, as in baptism and criticism. a doctrine, a system, and a principle, as in communism and socialism. It is a quality and in a characteristic state, condition, as in heroism, socialism, as in quality and in a characteristic state and condition, as in heroism and paganism. We use these words quite a bit. Those mythical characters, the ones that we call our gods and goddesses, Isis, El, and Amen, they have some great secret meanings beyond human understanding, mysterious. Isis, El, and Amen were mystics, and they knew that the supernatural being or truth could be known through spiritual insight or soul insight or a conscious view of the inside or the inner parts of a thing with an understanding. Insight is also wisdom and understanding in dealing with people or with facts. Insight, or the inner part of a thing, is knowledge and good judgment based on experience, based being wise, with wise conduct and wise saying or wise teachings, which were, in the case of Isis, El, and Amen, your ancestors, born with inborn qualities. They came here with so-called sense. They came here with so-called sense. They were our mythical or our mysterious characters who had all the qualities possessed, all kinds and all sorts in nature. Therefore, they were a special trio or triangle group that made them different from others. The character of those three gods in the triangle, a symbol of the sky, of 160 degrees, they attracted other attentions because they were different, or they were queer, or they were amusingly odd. Are we willing to go and take on that road? Or do we want to keep walking lockstep with everybody else because it's fashionable to be like everybody else? But these ancient gods came here, and they came here with the mythical characteristics that were considered odd or queer. Do we want that? The culture or the civilization of a given race or nation at a given time means to worship your own most high God, your own virgins, your own saints, gods and goddesses. Those who do not do this are devoid, which means they are lacking of culture, or they are lacking of civilization, or being civilized. As the voice of Muhammad says, what ails a people, or what is wrong with a people who adore or looks up to strange saints? They do not know and continue or goes on and complains or says something is wrong and finds fault. We talked about it in our class. What is wrong with them? What is wrong with the people who continue to complain? We see it. Everything that we talked about this morning, everything that this man has done to us, we just regurgitated. All that stuff just came back. Why is it our people still want to worship a man of sorrow when they can worship a hero? What ails or what is wrong with a people who knows their glorious or exalted honor, dignity, or majesty past, and then do not believe it or trust it? What's wrong with them? Nay, no. They have no culture. That is, they have no civilization. Their culture, this black Christian, their culture or their civilization consists, that is, it is made up of mere unqualified minstrels. Minstrels. What is minstrels? We see them on television every day. They call them actors. Minstrels. What they're doing is portraying to you a particular thought. Applied psychology. Applied psychology. We see it and we believe it. Who are singers as of now in the households of a lord in the Middle Ages. They did it back in the households of the lords in the Middle Ages. These minstrels were called to get a particular point across. They were hired to come there and sing and dance and whatever and get a particular thing across. And they're doing it today. And it's called motion pictures. And it's called telephone. That damn telephone, you can't cut it off. Brought up to date of this age, who are members of a company of actors who sing a collection of songs and ballads. Do they not do this? Is this not what's going on right now? A company of minstrels, while others laugh at them. They think that it's fun. They think, oh, this is just a joke. They think that, oh, they're just having fun. In reality, they're getting their point across. What ails a people? That is, what is wrong with the people, whether white or black, who go about the streets without dignity, without nobility, using the vilest, worst language, words known, apprehended mentally to man. Yet, they say we are modern, up to date, we are civilized, cultivated, but violators, breakers of every law. Don't be a black Christian. You cannot be a black Christian. You can wander for days waiting on Jesus to come back and deliver you. Who knows that if he has not already come back and you just didn't recognize him. Because if he came back today, you ostracize him. Some man walking down the street with a long part of Marcel, with long hair down his back, and a white man tried to do it one day. He used to walk up and down the street out here in St. Louis. Had on a white outfit on, and everybody called him Jesus. What if he came back tomorrow? Would they believe it? I don't think so. With that, peace be with you, my God, and God says, this is our message.